Welcome, my Phoenix family. When I decided to amputate my left leg in an attempt to force CRPS type 2 into remission, it was a scary choice. There was a lot of risk involved, and I knew that things could go south as a possibility, but there was also a good possibility that things could go well. However, any surgery after a CRPS diagnosis is risky. I will also remind everyone here that I am not a doctor. I'm just a patient that's been through a lot of these experiences. But even if you can't take this as medical advice, there's a lot you can learn from it. I do know what it's like to face severe phantom limb pain because of my amputation, and I know that that can be a really difficult thing. I've also experienced where amputation can improve your quality of life, even if you're not able to use a prosthetic a whole lot or even much at all. Not everyone that has an amputation will experience phantom limb pain. However, I do think it's important to note that those of us who have had CRPS are typically at a higher risk factor for developing phantom limb pain. So while your expectation might be that you're not going to have any more pain after a CRPS amputation, it's important to recognize that it's quite possible that you could still have some pain for the rest of your life. I do get asked quite often if my phantom limb pain is better or worse compared to CRPS. Sometimes that's a little bit of a difficult question because phantom limb pain and CRPS are two kind of different types of pain, but somewhat similar at the same time. But the best answer I can give is that it varies from day to day, and that my activity level can influence how much phantom pain I'm experiencing. CRPS can reach up to a 42 to a 47 on the McGill pain scale, where 50 is the absolute highest. However, phantom limb pain is maybe a little more than half as painful on the McGill pain scale as that, but with someone that's had CRPS, the phantom limb pain can be even more intense. I would say for me, the phantom limb pain can reach the levels of complex regional pain syndrome, except for it's not constantly that high. So I would say, yeah, my pain levels are somewhat better. However, that doesn't mean that I have been able to get off of pain medications and other treatments to try to help my phantom pain. Another expectation for having an amputation might be that you wear your prosthetic all the time. But the reality is that everybody has times where they might not have the right fit in their prosthetic, or they might be really sore from walking around the previous day. And so even if you're a super active amputee that has no phantom limb pain, you're probably still gonna have times where it's difficult to wear your prosthetic. Now, with CRPS, it does get increasingly more difficult to use a prosthetic. So some of us probably need to be preparing for the fact that a wheelchair is probably just going to be part of your life whether or not you amputate your leg for complex regional pain syndrome. But no matter what tool I use to get around, that doesn't mean that I'm not a successful amputee. And actually, using my wheelchair sometimes is a choice in trying to conserve my energy so that I don't flare with chronic pain. Learning to plan your life around chronic pain is really important, especially as a CRPS amputee, which you can learn some of my best tips on how to manage your chronic pain, but also how to plan your life with it by going over to rise.onefootedphoenix.com. A common expectation that sometimes people might have is that struggling with limb loss is something that makes you weak, or something that people just don't struggle with, but that's not the truth at all. All of us struggle at some point, even if you don't see it online very much. But this is just the beginning. If you're wondering if phantom pain will ever go away, or if you can build a happy life after amputation, I'll be answering those questions right over here in the next video. so you can click it now. And I'll see you over in that next video. Thanks for watching. Bye!